Good morning. I'm going to call to meeting of the Elections and Rules Committee for Wednesday, August 13th. My name is Jacob Fry. I'm the chair of this committee. And joining me are a bunch of council members here, Councilmember Palmisano, Goodman, Warsami, Quincy Johnson, Bender, and Gordon. We have a quorum presently. Colleagues, we just have one item on the agenda for today, and that deals with our elections judges. Due to the successful increase in the minimum wage at the state level, we also have to raise the wage for our elections judges. I believe our charter requires a 40%, requires us to pay our election judges 40% more than the minimum wage. And with us, we have our clerk, Casey Carl, to give us the full rundown. Mr. Carl?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Casey Carl. I have the privilege of serving as city clerk, and in that capacity, I also serve the city and its voters as the chief elections official. As the chair stated, the request before you pertains to an increase in pay rates for our corps of election judges. This is the first requested increase in pay rates since 2007, when the council authorized pay rates to be tied to specific position types. Those rates have remained in place without change since that time. Staff has prepared a chart that compares Minneapolis's pay rates for its election judges to other metro cities. And that chart shows that in almost every type of position served, Minneapolis is slightly under the average for its head, assistant head, and base election judge salaries. As the chair noted, the statewide increase in minimum wage further compounds the issue, as some of our election judges would fall under the new minimum pay rate. The minimum wage will increase incrementally over the next 2 years as well, topping out at $9.50 per hour in 2016. As this body is aware, we continue to have challenges recruiting a sufficient number of election judges to adequately staff the city's 125 polling places, let alone the number of election judges we need to assist our small permanent staff in preparation for Election Day, which includes absentee balloting, healthcare support services, and other efforts which require the use of qualified, well-trained election judges. We believe that increasing the pay rates for election judges will help with our recruitment efforts. I should point out that the increase to the statewide minimum wage was achieved earlier this year. Therefore, staff didn't have time to adjust our budget accordingly in order to address that matter through the regular budget process. In 2007, when pay rates were last addressed, the council did direct staff to handle such matters administratively in the future as part of the budget. However, because this is an impact resulting from state legislation, which was supported by the city, and because this may have an unplanned budgetary impact this year, we felt it was best to reconnect with policymakers on this issue at this time. We do plan to work with our partners in the finance department to monitor the impact of this request, and if necessary, we would come forward at the appropriate time to request contingency funding if the increase cannot be absorbed within other existing appropriations in the department. And with that, Mr. Chair, staff is pleased to support a recommendation to increase pay rates for all election judges effective August 1, 2014, which is the date that it became effective statewide. And I'm happy to stand for any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. And before I open it up to questions, I'd just like to give a full heartfelt thanks to the entire elections team, but Grace as well as Casey and everyone else that's been involved, and to the election judges. I mean, they're working like dogs out there. They're not getting paid very much. In fact, I think oftentimes they're losing money due to gas and food and other circumstances, and they're doing a tremendous job. So my sincere thanks to all of our dedicated election judges. We certainly could not do it without them. Before I open it up to questions, I will just move the motion, which is to authorize increase. So I move that we authorize increases in pay rates for election judges across all position types by $2.45 per hour, as recommended by staff, to be effective August 1st, 2014, consistent with the state law raising minimum wage across Minnesota. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in, I'm sorry, Councilmember Yang, who has just joined us.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Carl, a quick question for you. With regards to this increase, which is effective August 1st, is that retroactive for the folks who served yesterday and for the last
Through
week?
the chair, Councilmember Yang, yes, this would be effective for all the election judges who have been serving as of August 1st. For those who were working in different capacities prior to August 1st, the service before August 1st would be covered under those pay rates, and then from August 1st and after would be covered under the new pay rate.
Thank you.
Excellent question, Councilmember Yang. Any other questions? As we have one council member that I believe will be refraining from voting, I will ask for a roll call on the question.
Councilmember Gordon.
Aye.
Councilmember Barbara Johnson is absent. Councilmember Yang.
Aye.
Councilmember Warsame.
Aye.
Goodman.
I'd like to be recorded as not voting due to the fact that my husband is an election judge, and therefore I would be getting a pay increase and have a financial conflict of interest.
Glidden is absent. Kano is absent. Councilmember Bender.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Andrew Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
There are 7 ayes with Councilmember Goodman not voting. Oh, Councilmember Fry.
Aye.
There are 8 ayes with Councilmember Goodman declining to vote.
The ayes have it, and those rate increases have been approved as requested. The committee's report will go to the full city council for final action at the regular meeting this Friday, and I believe the clerk, Mr. Carl, has one more comment.
On behalf of the Elections and Voter Services Division, I'm pleased to provide unofficial results from yesterday's primary contest. To be clear, the report that we've distributed reflects initial data. These results have not yet been certified as official results. The Hennepin County Canvassing Board meets on Friday to complete that work, at which time the results will become final. As the official report shows, 29,106 Minneapolis voters participated in yesterday's primary. That's just over 12%. As anticipated, turnout was low. A notable exception was in the total volume of absentee ballots. The record for the number of absentee ballots cast in a primary contest was 3,352, which was achieved in 2010. This year, the city accepted a total of 3,917 absentee ballots during the primary, an increase of more than 500 ballots compared to 2010, setting a new record for the total number of absentee ballots cast in a primary. The report that we've provided breaks down turnout by ward and precinct. As you can see, turnout yesterday for in-person voting at the polls was highest in Ward 13, with 3,114 voters, followed by Ward 12 and then Ward 11. The top 5 individual precincts in terms of turnout on Election Day were Ward 3, Precinct 3, which serves the Nicollet Island, East Bank, and Marcy Holmes neighborhood, 522 voters. Ward 2, Precinct 8, serving the Cooper neighborhood with 451 voters. Ward 12, Precinct 3, which serves the Hiawatha neighborhood, 436 voters. Ward 11, Precinct 4, serving the Northrop neighborhood with 421 voters. And then Ward 2, Precinct 5, which serves Prospect Park, had 403 voters participating yesterday. We will post our initial data report that we've distributed just now to the city's elections website for public access, which can be accessed at vote.minneapolismn.gov. We'll also post notice about the report and how to access it via our social media accounts. More than 1,270 election judges were recruited, trained, and deployed yesterday to staff the city's 125 precincts. That represents the city's largest single workforce, which we just compensated. Included in that number were 68 city employees from various departments who, in addition to their full-time jobs, helped us yesterday by serving as election judges. In addition to our election judges, we have approximately 34 seasonal staffers who join us year after year to help us prepare for and conduct the elections, in addition to our full-time team of 4 election administrators, all working under the direction of our Director of Elections and Voter Services, Grace Wacklerowitz. They do amazing work. They support the constitutional rights of our voters, and they make the city look good. With the primary now behind us, the elections team immediately begins to finalize plans for the 2014 gubernatorial general election, which is scheduled for Tuesday, November 4th, just 12 weeks from yesterday. Mr. Chair, I'm happy to stand for questions about the initial data report or to conclude and finish this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. Obviously, this was an extraordinary undertaking that was completed with the primary yesterday. Do we have any questions for Mr. Carl about either this past election or the general election in November? Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question, Mr. Carl. I know we changed the voting precinct locations for several. Were there any observations or comments about those change in locations?
No. No, through the chair, Councilmember Quincy, as you know, we had 117 last year. We added 8 brand-new precincts this year based on population totals, trying to more evenly distribute locations within the neighborhoods throughout the community. And we also changed voting locations in 4 specific areas to better facilities in order to help serve voters and cut down on lines. So we think that those 8 new places and 4 changed locations were very successful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Quincy. And I will add that we are also looking at additional measures that will increase accessibility for the general election, both days and times, and we're just figuring out the staff resources as well as the financial resources that we have to do it. And I'm sure Mr. Carl and I will be updating all of you in the coming weeks. So are there any other questions for Mr. Carl? Seeing none and that we've completed everything we need to do, we are adjourned.